Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Thursday, May the 17th. This will serve as our chart lesson for today. The week's almost up. We got one more trading day tomorrow. We had a pretty good trading day today. We had this great downtrend, and this was a little bit difficult to find. I'm guessing that most of you probably didn't find this major trend line that came across from yesterday. And the way I found it was I saw these matching lows across here, and I drew this line across here and then copied it up. And when it came right across here and touched these two like this, I felt pretty confident that this was probably a longer term trend line running across here. But again, the way I found it was off of these lows right here. I drew this line where I got the most touches, and you can see that it pretty much held all day. So I had this before this regular open even happened, and I just drug it up here. And even if you drug it up right here, you still got the same thing. And that's originally where I had it, but if you drag it all the way back, it still tends to work out pretty good. And you can see where we broke through it right there and then pulled back and touched it to the tick. So touched it to the tick there, and pretty much the same thing right there. So I feel pretty confident that was the channel we were working off of. But even if you didn't find that, you definitely should have had this original downtrend right here. We had a break of that right here. And what was going on is the fact that prices had not been able to touch this trend line yet, which is the resistance area. And you see what happened. As soon as it touched it, then wham, it sold off again. And then right here, same thing. Then we worked our way all the way back up after we came off this end. And that's what prices do. They just go back and forth. And that's the reason we really didn't get a good sell-off right here. And you can see that if I back out of here, you can see right across here, we didn't get there here, we didn't get there here. This actually should have been a red right here. And we didn't get there here, and we just kept going until we finally touched it right there. And then look what happened, boom. So you got to remember that, generally these pullbacks, until you touch, and it's the same thing right here, we're working our way down, it's choppy. And finally when we got down here, everybody throws in the towel, and we overshot it, but then we worked our way back again. And we never got up there right here. It was kind of interesting, but this trend line at the time was taking more precedence because most of the day traders, I'm assuming, are like us. We're working off these first two swings, and so that was enough to turn it down. But once we broke this trend line, we didn't turn down again until we caught this one. So just keep that in mind. That sometimes is a strong clue. And I was a little leery of this trade right here because we didn't get back to this trend line, but at the same time we hadn't reached this one yet. So that's the reason I still like this trade right here. But let's just talk about the trades. There were quite a few of them. Most of your trading should have been to the short side. I marked a couple of longs because they were still really good setups. So I marked them, and we'll talk about them. But for the most part, you should have been. And there were other trades than the ones I marked today. There were just so many really good trades today with the trend that there was plenty of chance to make money. But you should have been looking for shorts really pretty much all day. But there were a couple of uptrends in the meantime. Here, there's one here, there's one here. But those are just pullbacks in the bigger picture to test the upper side of the trend line. And we never really got any real strong breaks of that trend line all day, and so prices continued to sell off. Somebody actually asked me what I thought about the late afternoon sell-off, and that's all that was prices finally came. We came off the trend line here, we reversed here, and we finally reached it again right here, and that was the reason it sold off, because it tested this resistance area, which is this sloping trend line, and it held again. So the sellers all come back in the market again. But let's start up here at the first trade. We really had a double top right here, a triple top in a downtrend. It's coming right off the trend line of the first two swings of the day, so hopefully that was easy to see. So even if you didn't catch the triple top or the double top, or even if you didn't catch the trend line, there was multiple reasons to enter right here. And so going short right here or even right here was a pretty good trade. So a little more risky right here, but that's such a bearish bar coming right off those same highs right there that it was okay to enter there. And this was a great trade because if you caught this, you could ride this all the way down. And, you know, that's a 10-point move right there. Easy. Any runners were easily safe. There was actually an entry right here, a little breakout pullback short. I didn't mark it, but it's there. You could have taken it. And that's all these are, is just continued little breakout pullbacks all the way down. But this was the first chance we had with a trap on a double, another second entry on a double top. And if you move, you see that right there. Prices broke higher by a single tick and then reversing. Look how bearish that is. So going short right there, because we broke higher first, having your entry point right here was fine. And knowing that we haven't come back and touched this line yet, and prices were off to the races. Even if you thought prices would bounce right here, there's enough room to scalp out, I believe. And so this was a nice trade all the way down. And again, you know, when there's a downtrend, we're looking for reasons to enter to the short side, and these are all reasons to enter. And when prices are working up, we're looking for reasons to enter the long side. But the reason I marked this long right here is because this is a failed break below. We've really got a double bottom kind of deal right across here. You can see that. And this is a failed break below that. But what I want to show you here, the reason I really like this entry, and as bearish as this was, the reason I was willing to enter here is because we started getting all this overlap. And look what happened when prices broke lower out of that little congestion area. And look how far away we are from the EMA. Knowing that prices are well overdone, this is a bullish reversal bar, and going long right there is a great trade. There's plenty of room to scalp out coming back to the EMA, and prices even went all the way back to the trend line and even went higher after that and broke the trend line. So that's generally when you're going to get the trend line break, when there's been an overshoot of something on the other side, or when we get overdone to the other side. And so that's the reason I like that long. That's the reason I was willing to mark that one. And then this next long, we were actually in this trading range, and that's a failed break below that kind of triple, double, triple bottom, whatever you want to call that there. We broke, failed lower and failed. And so you figure prices are going to try to come back up here and test these highs. And that's exactly what they tried to do. And this was another easy move. And I don't like, you know, I don't suggest that people counter trend trade, but when you go into a trading range, these are the easiest trades to take because they're so obvious that, you know, when prices come down here, look how many times they bounced. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the sixth time, and guaranteed a lot of people got trapped to the short side right here, thinking that if it broke below here, we're going lower, and that was what was going to happen. But before they go lower, they're going to run all the stops and trap everybody in and trap everybody out and confuse everybody, and that's all that was. And you can see once we finally got up here and touched this trend line, and then again, this is another little double top with a failed break above it. We tested it twice, right here and right there. And this high was lower than that high, and then this closed on the very bottom. So going short right there was a good trade. Really between below either one of those bars, I originally had my stop below this bar, but when prices ticked higher and trapped people on that second entry there, going short right here was a nice second entry short. And it took it a little while to work on through, and you probably didn't get a runner on this one, but there was some, you know, there's a breakout pullback short again that we talked about right here, and you could have taken that one, and that's just a repeat of this one from back over here on a bigger picture, really. You could have gone short right there if you want. I didn't mark. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm losing my voice here. But there's two more entries right here. This is a two-legged pullback to the EMA. So you could have entered here, but by the time it set up, there were just too many overlapping bars, and there's nothing really bearish in there, even though it is. But I tell you, a second entry short during a pullback to the EMA is one of our #1 money-making trades, and I believe that one would have worked right there. But the better trade was to wait on the second entry, which came right here, and that makes this a double top, and you can see that right there. and that's a breakout pullback to test this little area as well. And this was another great setup. And when you saw this one heading lower, you should have been thinking a measured leg like this one, because here's your first leg, and you should be thinking that our next move down should look similar to that. And look at there it is. And it's not exactly, it missed it by a tick or two, but that's because we ran into this support down here on the other end. And there was actually another entry right here that was just a repeat of this entry. And so I didn't mark it because it's really dangerous going short or counter trend trading. But I took this trade, and I like this trade, so I'm going to mention it, but I didn't mark it because most of you probably shouldn't be taking that trade. And again, I'm generally looking for a scalp on that, but if you get more out of it, great. And I didn't get anything but a scalp out of that, but that's okay, because then I went short right here and got another scalp. And again, I didn't get anything but a scalp there, but I was expecting that prices might bounce here because I'd drawn my trend line down here now, and I know we just come off the low side, so I'm looking for prices to go to the high side. And there was another long right here. I didn't mark this one because it's actually a two-legged pullback to the EMA, to the trend line, but I did not mark it because there's too many overlapping bars, and we had a double top right here, and there's always a chance we come down here and test this low again. It turned out to be a great trade, but that's simply because there was a lot of shorts that got trapped right there. And but this was the trade of the afternoon right here at the trend line, and you could have gone short right here, and if you did, you probably got trapped out. But notice the key not to go short here is notice 1, 2, 3, 4 overlapping bars, and 2 of them are dojis. And I'm always telling you, if there's 3 or more overlapping bars and at least one of them is a doji, that's congestion. And what's likely to happen when prices break out of congestion is that they're going to rebound and bounce back, even if they're going to go on lower, just like they did here. So all they did was trap everybody short, then scare them out right here and trap in some new longs, and then reversed it and it went right where you thought it was going to go to begin with. So it's always better to wait on that second entry. And there it is right there, second entry short, and off to the races. And somebody asked me they're having a hard time with second entries, and really all the second entry is the second leg. We're looking for 2 legs, and let me show you this right here on the bigger picture. This was another clue of where we were going. There's leg 1, and there's a 2-legged correction, and then there's leg 2, and you can see that fairly clearly. And this is a 2-legged correction, even though this made a higher high. This is still 2 legs back. It's still a 2-legged correction with a leg on each side, and that's all that is. And then this same thing right here. Even though this one higher, this is still 2 legs, and you can see 1 leg pullback, second leg, and then there was a little correction right in there. And if you went to the smaller charts, you'd see those easier. And so really all we're looking for with second entries are 2-leg corrections. And here's one right here. I didn't mark this trade, but this is another good short. It's getting really late in the day. But you got 1 leg back, your first entry down, and a second leg up, and then so there's your second entry short right there. You got a new count right here. Here's another second entry short. Pull back, first entry down, then another leg back. You see that? It didn't go an equal leg, but look at that move back up again. So then when it turned and went lower, that's a second entry short. If you went to a smaller chart, you'd see 2 legs there. But right here, it just looks like overlapping bars. But you got to learn to spot that on your chart. And this is just a breakout pullback short right here, and so on. But the key entry points were here, here, all the double tops. Here, here's a double top, and here's a double top with the trend. So here's another double top, the trend line. So your key entry points are always those kind of places. And if you'll just be patient and wait on them, they'll show themselves. And I will say that if you couldn't find this bigger channel, this was a little harder today, but there's always more. The best trades, there's usually always more than one reason to enter it. And so if you're paying attention, you'll find it. And this one was just another double top right here with a little failed break higher that trapped everybody, and then it turned down, and there's plenty of room to scalp out before you get back to the EMA. Look how far. Anytime, that's one thing. Let me mention that, and I'm going to call it quits here. But anytime you start to get overlapping bars like this right here that are way away from the EMA and prices tick lower, all that's going to be is a trap 9 times out of 10. And because prices do not stay away from that EMA very long. And here's another one right here. We broke down here and prices were way away from the CMA, and then they reversed. Here's one right here. Look how all these bars are away from the EMA. It broke higher and then it just came back. And I love to fade those, and that's the main reason I like that trade right there. And that's why I like that short. Even if you didn't have any of these other reasons, when that little bar broke higher right there and it's way away from the EMA and you got all these overlapping bars right here, I know prices are going to pull back there. And you go study any chart. Here it is again. Prices broke higher here first and then turned down, and we're way away. You go study any chart on the or as far back as you want, and you'll see that over and over and over in the ES. It's so common that you can just trade that pattern alone. There won't be a lot of them, but there'll be a couple every day. And if you trade that pattern alone, obviously you'll be counter trend trading a lot, and every now and then one will probably fail if you don't use a big enough stop. But those trades make me a lot of money, and that's the reason I like to mark them. Here's these two trades right. It happened 3 times right here. Here's 1, 2, 3 setups that are way away from the EMA, and prices just do not stay away from the EMA very long because it's the it's the moving average, and a lot of traders are watching for that and looking at that. So it's a very common knowledge among traders that know how to trade, and so they're watching for that, and they're setting up the rookie guys that don't know any better. But anyway, I'm going to call it a day. It's 17 minutes here. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.